Hi everybody, welcome back. I am back after a few days of vacation, and I wasn't really going to record every one of these, but while I was on vacation, my previous video, my first leg, received a couple hundred views without any promotion, and I don't have a couple hundred subscribers, so I thought I would put another video out. So today I am going to leave from the airport I drove by this morning in Jasper, Alberta, and I'm going to fly out to Golden, BC, but I'm going to do that kind of a wayward, again, not going to follow my flight path. I'm going to follow the highway. So just getting ready to take off here and see how it goes. This airport is probably about 10 kilometers outside the town of Jasper. It's a grass runway. I tried to take a couple pictures of it as we drove by, but it's just not quite visible from the highway. You can see it, you can see some planes parked there, but there wasn't much to see other than a grassy field and a windsock. So I'm taking off a little bit northbound, and then I'm going to do a U-turn and fly over the town site, and maybe pick out some of the sites that I visited while I was there over the last few days. I'm flying in real time on this adventure, so right now it is evening. I think the sun sets about 9 o'clock, so I should be able to make it to Golden before the sun goes down, especially since it'll be chasing me, not the other way around. But just to be on the safe side, I am gonna kind of push it and see how far I can get. So I've been flying for about 5 minutes, and I thought I'd draw your attention to a few little things. I've leveled off here. This lake that I'm just coming up on is Lake Annette. On my way out of town, we stopped here and we did a hike around the circumference of the lake. So about 6 hours before recording this, I was walking around there. Just up here a little ways,
500.
there is a set of buildings. This is the Jasper Park Lodge. It is a kind of a luxury hotel. Really beautiful scenery. Rent boats, rent kayaks. We went for brunch there on Sunday morning. It was pretty sweet. I'm just going to fly over Jasper. This is the Jasper town site. It's not very big. It's as one of our tour guides, when we went up on a mountain, one of our tour guides who was Australian pointed out that his joke was Australians like it because it's boomerang shaped, and this is one end of it. You go up over this mountain here, and I'm going way off course here just to take you on a little trip. This mountain coming into view right in the middle is called Pyramid Lake, or Pyramid Mountain. And there's a lake at the base of that, where there's a hotel, and that's
500.
actually where we spent the weekend. There's a kind of a little bit of a resort hotel there. Not exactly like a beach resort, but it's fairly nice. Did some
500.
kayaking on the lake. Just gonna pick up my speed a little bit to keep my altitude up.
Stall. Stall. Stall.
That is not good.
Stall. Stall. Stall.
There's a horse stable just below us. Kind of stalled out there trying to climb up that mountain. right down there at the tip of my nose, there's a set of buildings. That was my hotel room for the last 4 nights. So that's where I stayed. Walked down to the lake every morning, took some pictures, went kayaking off that dock. So you can see we've kind of done a 180 and now we're facing back towards the airport. And turn around again, kind of fly back into town. Someone else out flying today, Wu-Tay. And then there's a mountain just kind of on the right side above my wing. We took the gondola to almost the top of that mountain, and then we hiked up to the peak. And that was our Monday morning activity just before the rain hit. Someone's really doing a nice little flyby of the town down there. Anyways, I'll fly back down the river a little ways. I'm going to follow the Athabasca River up there. And check in when I get to a few more interesting spots. I'm about 15 minutes down the highway now, and I'm coming up on a couple sites. Our first day, we did a short little hike. As you can see, it's kind of right beside the highway, but there's a lake just coming up under my wing here. It's called Horseshoe Lake. We hiked in. It's only about 500 meters off the highway. There's a little parking lot, but it's a nice little lake. There's some rock cliffs you can sit on and eat your lunch. The reason we're down here actually is there's a fairly famous set of waterfalls, and I'm just going to see if I can find it. It's the Athabasca Falls, because this is the Athabasca River. I'm curious to see how the simulator renders it out, because it has been having some interesting struggles trying to get the contours of these mountains just right. Right up here somewhere, kind of where the road crosses over, there's an insane set of waterfalls, and it's probably just at the tip of my propeller there. And yeah, it's not going to render it very nice, but that is actually a beautiful set of waterfalls. You can see the parking lot there. Tour buses stop there all the time, so people can go and walk down and have a look at the falls. It doesn't look like much. I'm going to just do the drop angle here to fly over. Yeah, you can sort of see the narrow little canyon where it goes down. There's a waterfall right by the wingtip there now. Yeah. Yeah, that's the Athabasca Falls, because we're flying along the highway, which is along the Athabasca River, which is, a lot of that's meltwater from the Athabasca Glacier, which is what I'm flying towards, because I did go walk up to the Athabasca Glacier yesterday. That was our trip, so we did some hiking around the Athabasca Glacier. So that is probably still another 40 or 50 kilometers down this highway. But I am quite impressed with the scenery and how it's modeled here. I mean, having just seen it in person, it's quite a different experience to seeing it virtually, but at the same time, these are some impressive mountains, and you know, this is sort of what the area looks like. This is the Banff Jasper, the Icefields Parkway. So this road where we're flying above is essentially part of a national park. And the Banff National Park and Jasper National Park. Jasper in the north, Banff in the south, are kind of connected by this road. And as you're going through here, there's essentially 50-60 kilometer stretches where there's no cell phone service, no gas stations, nothing. You're just kind of out here. And yeah, it's just you and nature and a lot of traffic. This highway is kind of special to me. I mean, up until a couple of years ago, I had been part of a couple teams actually that ran the Banff Jasper Relay. There's a stretch of a little over 250 kilometers on this highway where 15 teams essentially do a relay race, racing from the south end, just outside of Banff, up to the north end, ending in the town of Jasper. You run along the side of the highway, you have a support car that kind of leapfrogs you down the road, you run in 20 or approximately 20k legs along this highway, traveling kind of the opposite direction I am now. It's probably one of the craziest races I've done. I mean, it's not really adventure racing, but it isn't, city running or running through a city or running through trails. You're along the side of a highway, an active highway. People run into bears. People, have heat stroke. People have to climb up and down mountains. There's some really serious climbs in this. The third year I did it, I drew the short straw on one of the hill climbs, and I ended up climbing to the highest point of elevation on the race, which is about 150 kilometers south of here, where I am right now. Or maybe not 150. Somewhere 100 to 150 kilometers south of here. And the last 2 or 3 kilometers was a slog, let me tell you. But yeah, this highway just goes on and on and on through the mountains. It's an amazing drive. You just put the tunes on and you just drive. One of the funny things I've noticed is that, especially here in the mountains, and I noticed this in my last leg, was that a lot of the textures seem to be based on winter satellite imagery. So, looking down at the Athabasca River here, that river is most definitely not frozen right now. It's cold, it's glacial water, but there was not much for snow when we were there yesterday. So we were up hiking, probably just, I'll fly over that.
Lazy 101, contact Edmonton Center on 133.75. 133.75 Lazy 101. Edmonton Center, Lazy 101, 6,200 feet. Lazy 101, Edmonton Center, continue as planned. Altimeter 29.91.
As you can tell, my call sign I'm using is Lazy. Named my plane Pixel, which I know isn't exactly correct airplane naming conventions, but this isn't exactly following the rules. It's because my website name is pixellazy.ca, pixelazy.ca, and this is leg 2, but I'm hoping will be a flight around the entire world. I left from Edmonton in my previous leg, and I flew out to Jasper, and then from Jasper to Golden, BC. I'm hoping, because I've got a few days off, I'm hoping over the next few days to fly my way out to the west coast, get as far as Vancouver, and probably work my way over to Vancouver Island, up the west coast to Alaska, and then just go from there. But as I was saying, I was doing a hike here. Drove this highway yesterday, and we went out to the Athabasca Glacier, which is just up around the corner here, probably between those two mountains that you see at the front. And there's a hike that we hiked up. It's called the Wilcox Pass, and there's one spot where I was able to get a cell phone connection to download the Google Map. I just wanted to kind of check to see how far we had to go, and I opened up the map, and it was all winter imagery. It's basically a field of white, and with a little bit of like rocky texture in it. So it wasn't much use. So I'm going to be curious to see if they've used the winter or the summer textures or the scenery from the satellites when I get up that far. It certainly is gorgeous scenery, though I've noticed a little bit of a glitch. This highway that I drove down yesterday seems to be underwater. Cars don't seem to mind though. This is a big floodplain, so I can see how that mistake could be made. But this river is looking a little wide. As we go around the corner, this is more of an open valley, and the road, which I see emerges out of the lake just ahead of my wing there, and it snakes up around towards the Athabasca Glacier in the Columbia Icefields. There's a parking lot just down there. We stopped there because if you look off to the right, there is a glacier. Not quite as impressive as the one we're going to go see, but just off in between the mountains. Just a million-year-old glacier or whatever it is. And as we fly up the road here, I'm going to go closer into the valley, but there is an interesting attraction that they opened about 5 or 6 years ago. It's called the Skywalk, and you go down to the visitor center for the glacier, and then they drive you down to this spot here, which looks more like a texture on the side of the mountain right now, but it's actually a suspended glass bridge that kind of goes in a semicircle.
500.
You walk through that visitor center, which isn't displayed very well here. And that's actually a skywalk. We walked on that yesterday.
500.
Whoa, I'm gonna do a little close call there because I'm trying to get a nice view. Sorry about that. I think we've gained a lot of elevation here too. We've gained about 2,000 feet of elevation over the course of this flight, even though my elevation's been holding pretty steady. I'm starting to get a little worried. Real time just turned 8 o'clock. I know the sun sets about probably 8:45. I've still got about 60 miles to go. So I'm hoping, I know I said I was going to race the sunset here, but I'm hoping I can beat it. So I'm coming up on the Columbia Icefields Glacier here. It's just going to be off to the right of the plane. Probably see the visitor center. Had a little bit of a... Never been in the news for the last month because usually there's these buses that you can get on these big tractor-wheeled buses, and they drive visitors out onto the glacier. And you get out and you walk around with a guided tour, and you can say you walked on a glacier. But they had a little accident, and unfortunately a few people died when a bus rolled down one of those embankments that you see just past my wing there. And so that's been in the news. So yeah, there's a visitor center, and just off to the side is the Columbia Glacier. Try not to crash the plane into a mountain. Straight up ahead on this ridge here is where we went hiking yesterday. Kind of up behind there is what's called the Wilcox Pass. And there's a hiking trail that goes up right along this rocky ridge here. You see the parking lot just up on my right wing tip, just ahead there. You hike up along this canyon. You can sort of see the trail there just beside my tail. Yeah, beautiful hike. It's one of those, almost like a prototypical mountain hike. It's the one where you go up and you take photographs, and it's like a postcard. Amazing. So yeah, that's the Columbia Icefields. Flying past that, and I'm just going to keep flying and try and make some time up, so that I hopefully do not wind up landing in Golden in the dark, because I am not a good at landing as much as I should be, especially not in the pitch black of night. So I will check back in a little later. I've decided to try and get back on my flight plan course, which I've been flying a little bit to the east of. The flight computer plotted a course right over the top of these mountains, which, first of all, I wasn't super comfortable with, because altitude, and this plane is not like a high altitude plane. And secondly, I wanted to fly down the highway, but that sunset is worrying me. I want to get as close to my destination as I can while the light is still allowing. But now that I'm here, those are some beautiful mountains. I just climbed to up over 10,000 feet. Try and make it over these ridges without crashing into a mountaintop somewhere. Would put it into my journey really quick. But if I can get down into that valley over there, that should take me right into my destination a little quicker. So I think I'm doing a little better. I think I just shaved probably 10 minutes off my flight by doing that. I hope. At some point I must have passed into BC, I'm thinking. Not exactly sure. Kind of gone over the biggest mountain, I think. I hope. That was sort of like the highest peak I could see. There's a lot of other people out there flying. Kind of aiming for the end of this mountain ridge, and just kind of up where my left wingtip is where I'm headed. There's a valley down there. And Golden, BC is right in that valley. And when we drive out to BC, that's sort of your first stop in the mountains. You blaze through Alberta, get into BC, and then you stop our hamburger in Golden and then head on. So that was going to be my first stop in BC on the second leg of this flight. And now I'm racing the sunset. It looks like I've got about half an hour. So I'm still about 25 miles out of my destination. The sky is starting to look real pretty, but that's got me worried. I've got about another 20 minutes of flying, probably another 20 or 15 minutes of light. I might be landing this thing in the dark. I got her up to about 13,500 feet to get over those mountains. I'm just trying to lose some of this altitude now because I need to get down in that valley. And just over this little bit of a mountain ridge, you can see it's just kind of at the top of my wing there. And I think that's the valley. I should be back on my flight plan pretty quick. I'm just going to check my flight computer. Yep, see the red line is the flight computer. Got 24 miles approximately. Drop down into the valley by that river there, and that river runs right through my destination. So we're almost there. Yeah. Sunsets, as beautiful as they are, they're a prelude to the pitch black darkness. And flying here without much light is going to be a challenge. I'm just about 10 miles out of the airport, flying on essentially instrumentation because I do not have a clue what this airport looks like. I think I'm just going to let this record and hopefully you get to witness an amazing landing. No guarantees. Seal Able Mouse 43. I'm wondering if they're sitting at the airport. That would be helpful. The sunset, though, is quite amazingly beautiful. This is beautiful country. If you're ever able to go out here, it's amazing. I think I see a runway. I think I do. That Seal Able Mouse is helping me because I think he just took off from a runway. So that might be my destination. I might be able to make it in some daylight. 7 miles to go. Should see the indicator pop up in a couple minutes. About a minute and a half maybe. It's just around 2,500 feet I think, so I gotta lose some altitude here. Kill my engines a little bit. Adjust my flaps a little bit. .5 nautical miles. Well, that highway's all nicely lit up there. I'm not sure it's actually lit up like that. Maybe. There's a stretch as you leave Golden that I think is kind of lit up. But it's been about a year since I've driven that highway. Oh, I sure hope that's the runway, because I'm headed straight for it now. Take a photo. About 1,500 feet to drop. Use some more airspeed.
Tower Lazy 101 3 miles north to land.
Here's my flight approach.
Lazy 101 tower. Enter right traffic runway tree 2. Altimeter 29.9 to wind calm.
I still have that turned on. That's kind of helpful.
Make right downwind runway tree to Lazy 101.
Oops. I don't think they want me landing this way. Too bad. I'm going to break some rules and land how I want to land. Hopefully on my first attempt. For those of you wondering how you find an airport, you set it up beforehand. You kind of create a flight log where you want to take off from, and that's where it sets up your plane, and where you want to land. And that's where it directs your final destination. Kill my engines here. Cruise right in. Aim for the numbers. Pull up a little bit. Whoa, rough landing, rough landing. Oh, break, break,
Lazy
break, break,
101, you were not cleared to land. Clear the runway.
Whoa, alright.
Lazy 101, contact ground on 1.2.5.
Alright.
Going to 1.2.5 Lazy 101.
I'm gonna have to play by the rules a little bit more in the future. But in the meantime, welcome to Golden. Just gonna go park this plane and we will call it a night. Thanks for watching. If you have any requests where I should go along my journey, let me know in the comments. See if I can accommodate, but I am flying around the world, so I'm going where I'm going. See you next time.